What is up, you guys? I hope you guys are having a great start to the week. How's everybody doing? You have a good day today? I know we did here at the floor. How many people? Oh, there we go. Great start. Let's go. Let's go. How many people caught BA with me this morning? There we go. What's up, Dave? There we go, Logan. Nice to see. Yeah, we crushed it today. It was a great start to the week. Now, we did start off with a stop loss, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Managed risk well. Ended up taking a beautiful trade to follow that up. Before we actually do get into anything, though, I want to go over this BA trade we took today. I gave you guys this last night on the Sunday stock watch list. By the way, I hope you guys are enjoying those. I'm going to start doing those every Sunday, so I think you guys are enjoying those. I guess according to the views in the first 24 hours. So that's good. I'm glad that I'm not making content for no reason. But anyways, BA, we did talk about this on the Sunday stock watch list yesterday. And this was what we ended up executing today. And our first trade of the day on BA, we ended up taking this at 9:33. So right here on this candle, the following candle is when we stopped out. Well, really, actually, this candle right here is when I sent the signal in the chat. I believe I stopped out, though, on this 9:34 candle. Either way, we took that there, ended up re-entering here on this 9:36 candle, picked up momentum back to the upside, got a nice break above high of day, ended up scaling out a half above 230.50. So right here where my mouse is where we ended up scaling out a half. On that 50-cent break, we sold half. The rest I was waiting for 231. We got 4 cents off of it, and we ended up rejecting and coming back down here. But I did end up getting rid of the rest of that position, either at 230 or a little above 230. Either way, beautiful trade. Beautiful way to start our week. But yeah. Anyways, guys, we'll go ahead and get into the watch list here. We're going to go over what I'm liking for tomorrow and possibly the rest of the week. I don't exactly know how everything from the Sunday watch list held up, because obviously when I'm making those, that's before we even start the after hours session on Sunday. So a lot of things on that are, just things that look really good right then. And then sometimes they will be completely gone and out of the park by the time we even open up after hours. So yeah, that's why even if you guys are watching the Sunday watch list, make sure you're showing up to these streams whenever I do them. So every Monday at 8. Also, if you guys want to trade live with me and the team, I just got to do a quick plug. I'm sorry. Click the first link in the description. We're having an insane deal right now. So just click that link, check it out. And you're crazy if you don't try it. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into the watch list here. We're going to go through my watch list from A to Z, see what I'm liking, and at the end of the session, we'll go ahead and actually build out the watch list for tomorrow. So first thing here, I want to see, Apple did end up breaking that support towards end of day here. Plug all you want. That's good. That's good, Tom. Let's see here. So Apple, I actually am uninterested in now until we get down to 264. What is this? 264.65. We've got a gap here at 264.65. It gives us room down to 264.13. Or wait, I'm sorry. I just did that wrong. Gives us room to 262.82. I'm sorry. But anyways, here, Apple at 264.65 does look good to the downside. We've got room down to 262.82 on this. We are a little far away right now. I'm not interested in today's low of day, even though we are just kind of forming an H pattern down into that low. I would prefer to just wait for that 264.65 level because that is a bigger level overall, higher time frames. Most likely going to see some better follow through on that than we would at just low of day. Wow, Airbnb ripped today. What happened here? Let's see. Raise the target by $1. Oh, I'm sorry. We dropped the target by $1. Interesting. Okay, so Airbnb, this thing didn't have any volume all day, which is unfortunate because this setup actually looks really, really nice here at 138.52. That level looks beautiful. If it was on any other stock, that would be my main watch 100%. But Airbnb just does not have the contract volume we need in order to trade it, unfortunately. So I will have to pass on that for now. Let's see. AMD at low of day is probably something we could look at here. I believe if we're looking at AMD low of day, we're probably going to have to target these next supports here from Friday, which is what, 219.56 and 219.20. Our low of day from today was the, what is this? Sorry. Low of day from today was actually at close, 220.48. That actually looks pretty good to the downside. I like this. Overall, it looks like we're forming sort of a head and shoulders pattern, which is a reversal pattern. If you go high enough on the time frames, you can't see it, but 1 hour, 30 minute, looks like we're forming a head and shoulders pattern here. Seth, you have not missed anything yet. All you missed was the trade recap from this morning and a quick plug. But anyways, yeah, 220.48 looks good on this. Targeting a move down to 219.56, 219.20. Below that, we've got a ton of room down. So AMD looks good. AMD looks good. I'm definitely going to mark that. Doesn't mean for 100% certainty that it's going on the watch list, but let's see here. Amazon. Amazon at high of day. I think Amazon can actually come back up and fill this wick from Friday pretty easily. Let me look at the 1 minute here. So this actually was just a straight run up on Friday. But this high of day actually looks quite nice. Amazon, for the last couple of days, has had really nice looking setups. Obviously, we didn't end up getting that low today, but we ended up pushing pretty aggressively, recovering basically this entire sell-off from Friday. So 234 is the high of day from today. I would be interested in that, and we've got room on this up to 235.46. If we want to be safe, we can mark it here at 234.80 and call that a conservative target. But let's see here once again on the lower time frames just to see. So yeah, that 234.80 level, this is where we really wicked from. So 234.80 should be super doable. Above that, we're going to have to get pretty aggressive to see that high. But conservative target on this, 234.80, even an 80-cent move on Amazon is going to pay. So Amazon looks nice. I like that upside. ARM, I'm good on that. AVGO, I'm also going to pass. Unless we get down to the low of day. At low of day, I would be interested, but really, I'm not as interested anywhere on this as I would be at 334.70. Let's just see. I don't think we're setting up anything recovery-wise. No, not really. So yeah, low of day at 336.50 does not look bad. I have a feeling, so today we had some pretty boring price action, to be honest. NQ seemed pretty choppy, at least while we were at the charts. And I believe today and tomorrow are probably going to be relatively, I don't want to say choppy or sideways, but relatively low expectation days for me. Today and tomorrow, I'm expecting market to not be doing much and not be just handing out bangers. So if we can survive through, obviously, today and tomorrow, then I think the rest of this week should be pretty clean. But yeah, AVGO looks good. BA ended up coming back down. I do really like this 230 area on BA still. Now, we did end up coming and breaking this a few times before we ended up selling off and closing where we closed. But 230.30 into the high of day of 230.96, I think we're going to see a nice breakout on BA. I really do. As long as we continue holding this area that we're at right now and we don't sell off to like 225 overnight, then I am definitely going to be interested in this. Part of the reason for that is because I love BA. I love trading this stock, and we hardly ever get to trade it. So when it gives us the opportunities, I want to be there to take advantage. 230.30 though is going to be the area I'm watching on this. Still, clearly, I mean, we can just look at this here and see that very clearly in this 230 area, we are just not seeing enough volume yet. Because just look what happens every time we're in this range. We just end up fizzling out and selling off. Like there's just not much going on in this area. We've peaked above it a couple of times, but we always end up getting pulled back in. So yeah, we're going to need some pretty clear, aggressive buying in order for this trade to play out nicely. But I think we can get that. I really do. I don't think it should be difficult at all. We've had all day to mess around and do nothing, right? So if we come back up to it tomorrow, I have a feeling buyers are going to be able to take over very easily. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see downside, to be honest. Right now, it does kind of look like we're dying out, but if we stay in this range that we're in right now, then I don't foresee downside being as clean as upside would be. So that's what I'm watching for. Also, that 231.70 target level, we just have not been in this area in such a long time that I'm actually surprised we didn't end up seeing that today. That 229 resistance on the 4 hour is a major level because we seriously have just not been up here in a very long time. We got super aggressive on Friday, super aggressive buying. I actually think today was the day that we calmed down. I think we calmed down for today, come back tomorrow, and end up seeing this move. Now, obviously, if we fall overnight, there's only so much we can sell off before it's like, all right, we're definitely not going to see this setup. But if we stay in this 227 area, it's still 100% possible. Not saying that it's 100% going to happen, but it's definitely possible. So keeping an eye on BA for sure. Coin ended up ripping, well, gapping up over the weekend, ripping this morning and having a pretty strong close today as far as everything else goes. High of day on coin doesn't look bad either. I have a feeling a lot of the things we're going to be looking at on the watch list today are just highs of day. We have another resistance here on coin at 259.55. We may actually, do we have a gap on this? Very small gap. All right, whatever. That's not big enough to really even worry about. Yeah, on coin though, we've got room up to like 267. So for a quick scalp here, I'd probably look for a 262 target on this. Once again, just being conservative. We have room on the 15-minute up to 263.63. Yeah, the only other trend I saw here was on the 5-minute, which this trend is kind of invalid at this point. Wait, you guys can hear me, right? Let me double check. Yeah, audio's still there. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. Great. Just making sure I'm not rambling for no reason. Yeah, coin looks good as well. We already have, what, 6, 7 things marked, and we're barely into the top of the watch list here. That might end up being an issue. Got you, Truth. This might actually be a problem, but it's a good problem to have. Too many setups that look good is a great problem to have. Let's see. Hood was really strong today as well. I'm actually impressed with Hood's performance today. 124.70 on Hood. I really like to the upside. I'm definitely going to be interested in this. Probably going to be interested in this over something like coin that was just a high of day, because this is a bigger level. But 124.70, I've got room all the way up to 126.27 on this. So Hood looks great. Keeping that marked. INTC, I'm all good. KO, I'm all good. All right, let's see here. Meta, still in a pretty nasty area right now. I want nothing to do with this stock until we're out of this range. And if that means missing out on the breakout that takes us out of this range, I'm fine with that. I just don't want to be involved in the mess, to be honest. Microsoft, once again, kind of the same story as Meta here. Just not much to look at right now. We have continued bouncing out of this zone, and I have a feeling we're going to continue that for a minute, because we'll probably end up seeing a bounce tomorrow if that's the case, and then it'll take a little while to get back down here. I really don't even have any super clean Microsoft levels to the downside anyways, so that's fine. We're just going to have a little while before we've got another setup on this. Yeah, Hood looks fantastic, Mar. Do I market order? Yes. Snowboard Marco. Also, yeah, sorry, we got into the charting stream. I didn't even mention to you guys that we're going to have a Q&A at the end of this charting session here, just because I know there's going to be probably about a half an hour left over. So if you guys have questions, make sure you guys are getting those questions ready now. And, you can ask them all once we're done charting. Let's see. MU ended up having a nice sell-off today. I think MU may be ready for some downside setups here. I like this 15-minute trend we broke to the downside. Looks like we're trying to hold below. 309.55, which is low of day, to the downside, actually looks nice. If we continue holding below this 15-minute trend, this 309.55 level is going to look really nice. So, yeah, I like MU. Something to keep an eye on. Don't have any super specific targets for this yet. Let me actually just extend this to the left, and we can go over here and look. All right, so below 309.55, really our next support isn't here until 308.80. Below that, we kind of have room down to this 307.65 area. Honestly, I would be hesitant in this range between 308.80 and 307.65. So over $1 range, that if we start to see hesitation, I would not be surprised at all if we bounced. But as far as targets go, that's what I'm going to be looking at there. 308.80 all the way down to 307.65 is my targets for that. NVIDIA looking pretty gross here as well. Kind of the same story as Meta, just in a really nasty area right now on the stock. OKLO looks like it's actually ready for a breakout here, but these contracts do not seem to have very good volume. Does the stock have good volume though? Ooh. We actually do have good volume on this. Oh, got you, Kelly. Let's see. The OKLO 95 calls today actually had 2,000 in volume, so that is good enough to look at, to be honest. It's not the best. It's not a Tesla or a NVIDIA, but it's enough to trade. 90.85. have almost $1 a room on this. Yeah, this could pay. This could pay. All right, guys, this watch list is about to be supersized. Let's see, RGTI, I'm all good. Rivian, I'll pass. Shop, I'm all good. Snow, I'm passing as well. SPY is doing SPY things here. SPY actually looks like it wants some more upside here, so there's that. And then Tesla, if we see high of day, I could be interested, but we have a bajillion setups to put on the watch list right now, so I don't even think I'm going to put Tesla on here. If we see Tesla and it's moving nicely, we're going to be looking at Tesla anyways by default. So anybody that's in the chat, you guys are going to know. But yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about the setups that are not just a complete given just because of their name. So let's see here. We'll go ahead and write out the trade plans now, the watch list. All right. So starting off here, also before I get done writing this watch list, is there anything that you guys want me to check out? Is there any setups, any stocks that you guys want me to take a look at while we're here? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, let's see here. Apple. Also, we're going to rearrange this watch list to something that's a little bit more realistic because I'm just going to write them down in alphabetical order, and then we'll rearrange them on how close they are, how well we like them compared to others. So Apple, looking at the 264.65 support on the, well, actually, 264.65 gap on the 1 year. Gap start. All right, gap start on the 1 year for entry. Targeting a move down to the gap fill at 262.82. I guess there's not really much else to target here. Well, I guess 264 would probably be a good first target here. Targeting move down to the 264 break. Then we have room all the way down to fill. All the way down to the gap fill at 262.82. Looking good. What do I think about GOOG? I don't know how to say your name, but KU. I do not trade GOOG. I trade GOOGL. They're both Alphabet. They're both Google stock. But GOOGL is the ticker that I trade. And what do I think about it? I think that it's in a very, very nasty range right now that follow through is going to be hard to come by. Clean setups are not there. Like, there's not a clean setup here to look at all. And I am not really interested on this until we get up to at least 322.50, if not 324. So I'm completely uninterested in Google right now for those reasons. If you have any follow-up questions to that, then let me know. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Google. Let's see. AMD is looking really nice. So AMD, looking at the 220.48 low of day from Monday, targeting a move. There we go. Targeting a move down to the next support levels from Friday at 219.58, or sorry, 56. Then the 219.20 support Below this, we have room to fall. The only thing I would be concerned about is this 1 hour uptrend at 220. If we get the momentum we need to break it, we should see these targets easily. All right. Amazon. Recovered the entire sell-off from Friday, and we are currently forming an inverse H at 234, which is high of day. Looking at the 234 high of day for entry for a break to the upside. Targeting a move to the 234.80 resistance area. Above this, I have room to Friday's high at 235.46 for my final target. Actually, it's going to be the 235.46 break. Perfect. All right, next up here, AVGO. AVGO, looking at the 336, 336.51 low of day for a break to the downside, targeting a move to the 334.70 support on the 1 hour. Below this, we have room all the way down to 330. Yeah, same here, KU. All right, BA. Yeah, we'll go ahead and throw it on here. BA, I was tempted to just put as a side watch and not even write anything down for it, just because it is so circumstantial, I guess, but it is the one setup that I've been talking about all day long, and it's the only setup that I'm actually, like, all these setups are good looking, but this is one of the only ones that I'm actually excited for if we get back up here. So BA, looking at the 230.30 intraday resistance from Monday. Targeting a move to the high of day break at 230.96. Above this, we have room to the 231.70 resistance on the 4 hour for my final target. If we see aggressive buying around the 229 area, again, leading into this level, we should be able to see a nice breakout. Possible early entry around 230 if we get the right approach. All right, there we go. Coin. Is this 259.55 low? Yes, it is. All right. About to say, is that a target or is that an old level? All right. So coin, looking at the, well, here, we'll preface it here. Forming an inverse H at high of day. Looking at the 258.88 high of day for entry, targeting a playing this into a 4-hour resistance level at 259.55. This level should provide a nice breakout into the 260 break. Overall, I will be looking for a 262 final target on this setup. Looking for anything more than that, we will most likely have to hold through some consolidation slash pullbacks. All right, there we go. Draco, what are you doing, dude? There you go. All right, there's coin. Coin looks great. All these look great, actually. Hood, 124.70 up next. All right. I'm trying to move this in a way where you guys can see the setup and the in the notepad all at once, but I don't know that there's a good way for me to do that. Maybe right there, that might work. Hood. Looking at the 124.70 resistance on the 1 hour for a breakout. Targeting a move on this up to the 126.27 resistance. And is this just, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is looking really nice. Targeting a move on this up to the 126.27 resistance break. Above this, we have room to rally on higher time frames. This area is where I would expect Hood to pick up a lot of buying momentum for a high time frame recovery. There we go. No, this isn't your trading style, but regarding AVGO, does a 345 rejection look good? Targeting 340.90, then 338.53. 345. 345. Honestly, Gabe, 345 is a... I'm going to say yes. Yes. You already prefaced that with saying not my trading style, but yes. I would not take that, but if you want to sit there and hold all day long, be my guest. But yeah, 345 does not look bad as a rejection area. I wouldn't just blindly get in at 345 just because, but no, it does not look like a bad area at all. Does not look like a bad area at all. All right, anyways, where were we at here? We are at Hood. We got that done. Next up, I guess I forgot to unmark MSTR here. Next up is MU. So MU actually looks like one that I'm kind of excited for here because I think we may have broken the streak of just ripping new all-time highs consistently, finally. So MU, I'm going to be looking at the 309.55 low of day for a break to the downside. This is the first day we have had a major sell-off on MU since the original all-time high break. We broke below, I believe it was a 1 hour trend, is that right? Nope. 30-minute. Nope, 15. There it is. All right. We broke and held below a 15-minute uptrend channel. Targeting a move down to Friday's supports at 308.80, then 307.65. Below this, we have room all the way down to 306. Yep. Then what is the low? 304.82. Beautiful. All right. OKLO. Is this our last thing? Oh, it's breaking right now. Let's see. Do we watch the break together here? Oh, we already broke. Yeah. All right. OKLO's off. OKLO is off. That setup actually did look really nice though. But honestly, with what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With 8 things on the watch list, we can afford to lose one that we were most likely not going to be having as our main watch anyways. So that's perfectly fine. All right, let's see here. Apple is downside, AMD downside, Amazon upside, AVGO downside, BA upside, Coin upside, Hood upside, and MU is downside. Okay. Nice equal balance here. Upside and downside trades. I actually would typically split these into main watch and side watch. I really like all of these equally, to be honest. I'm going to put Apple in a side watch just because it's further away. Yeah, that's good. AMD, let's see how close we are here. That's relatively close. Amazon is as well. AVGO. AVGO could probably go in the side watch, to be honest. It is going to top Apple, though. BA is going to stay here for now. Coin, relatively close as well. Hood is right freaking there. All right, don't break. Don't break. You can wait till the morning. Wait till the morning and give it to us at 9:30. And then I'll allow you to break. Okay. Cool. So I guess that's the revised order here. I'm not going to rearrange these ones up top because I like them all. They all look just as good. It's really just going to be a matter of what's closest at market open. But yeah, that's what I've got for tomorrow. So those of you that are not in the floor, make sure you screenshot this. Take advantage of it. You know, try not to gatekeep. Try not to gatekeep. However, you definitely should be taking advantage of this. Not financial advice, but this is what I'm looking at. I am sending this to the group right now, though, so here we go. Tomorrow's watch list. Now we can go ahead and get into the Q&A portion of this stream. So anybody in here, if you have any trading questions, any setup questions, actually just really whatever questions you want to ask me, we've got about 15 minutes here. So I'm happy to sit here and answer your questions as long as you can think of them. So I am sending this to the floor right now. I'm going to take my face off the screen for just a moment so you can screenshot that and make sure you get your questions going here. There's a short delay between when I speak and when the chat updates for me. So if I'm silent for a second, that would be why. All right, here we go. Question answering time. Question answering time. Let's see. Do you stop at a certain percent or a price of the stock? So percentage stop losses don't work. I stop out at levels that are important on the stock. When I know that a trade goes from having higher probability of playing out in my favor to lower probability of playing out in my favor, that is where my stop loss is at. Now, how do I manage risk with a stop loss like that? It's actually even easier than trying to use a percentage because that percentage stop is just going to get you cooked every single time. Especially like every Friday, you're going to have a drawdown to your percentage stop. I almost guarantee it. And there's no way that you follow your stop every single time. All right, maybe if you're brand new and you've only taken a couple trades, that's the case. But over a long period of time, I'm just going to restart here and say, following your stop loss is necessary. It's not a suggestion. You need to follow your stop losses. So you need to have reliable stop losses that you can follow, and you cannot really follow a percentage stop loss. It means nothing to anyone other than you. It means nothing to the market. It means nothing to, I guess it means something to me because, I care about you guys, but nobody cares. The market doesn't care. They don't know where your stop loss is at. They're not just trying to take you out. Marco's down 15%. All right, let's get him out. But anyways, the way that I calculate risk on stop losses like that, it's even easier than a percentage. First of all, you're going to figure out where your targets are at on the stock. Sometimes you'll have a perfect scenario where you have your exact stop loss, you have your exact target, and they're all perfect for each other, right? Sometimes you're only going to have a target. Sometimes you're only going to have a stop loss, and you're going to have to figure out your target from there. Either way, I only take trades that are a bare minimum 1-to-1 risk to reward, which means if I know that on the stock I'm targeting $1, that means the most my stop loss can be is also $1. Right? Does that make sense to everyone? That should make sense. Anyways, knowing that, if I have a target on my stock, let's say my target is $1, that means my stop loss has to be within $1 range. Now, let's see if there's anywhere on the stock that I can use as a target, and it might even be better for me than that 1-to-1. So let's say our stock is looking like this right here, okay? Entry level right here at this blue line. Target down here at this, let's just say the target is down here at this green line. Now, let's say this move, well, here, I got to draw this a little differently because my proportions are off. Let's say the target's down here at this green line, okay? And this right here is $1. All right, we're going to make it real easy here. Now, I can take this same exact move and go to the upside and say here is also $1. All right. Now, is there anywhere on this chart that between entry level and my $1 max stop loss, is there anywhere else that makes sense for me to have a stop? Well, what happens when you aggressively move into a resistance? If you guys are breakout traders, you should know the answer to this. When you aggressively move into a resistance, you typically get a breakout. So where on this chart shows me that if we break above or we lead aggressively into it, that the probability of us having this trade play out goes a lot lower? Well, that level would be right here. Now, let's say, since this is $1, let's say now we're only looking at a 75-cent stop. All right, that just increased our risk to reward on this trade. Now, how do I calculate the dollar risk? The dollar risk is going to be calculated because if you are familiar with the stocks you're trading, which if you're not right now, you're probably brand new, or you're just trading a bunch of random stocks every day, but I feel like that's probably not the case. But let's say you have experience, right? You know roughly how much contracts will be moving on every stock you're looking at. So like Tesla, let's say Tesla on a Friday, we get a dollar move on Tesla on a Friday. I know that's probably going to be about 20%. Okay. So let's just calculate it that way. You know how much money you're comfortable losing on this setup. You got to figure out how much money you're comfortable risking on a setup. All right. Now let's say, to make it easy, you're comfortable risking $200 on this setup. All right. Comfortable risking $200. You know that in a dollar move on a Friday, Tesla will move about 20%. Okay. So let's say your $200 is what you're comfortable risking. All right. What is your max position size in order so you can take a 20% loss and you're going to lose $100? Well, that would mean your max position size can be $1,000. Okay, max position size is going to be $1,000 because if you hit a 20% stop loss on this stock, you're going to be losing $200. There you go. Super easy. Not only do you know where your stop loss is going to be, you also know exactly how much money you're going to be risking. Very easy to follow your stop loss this way because, once again, you got to remember the levels we're stopping out at are the levels where the stock goes from having higher probability of playing out in our favor to lower probability of playing out in our favor. Now, if you know that something is going to have a lower probability of playing out in your favor, why would you want to even stay in that trade anyways? The answer should be that you don't want to stay in that trade and you don't want to be in that trade. Now, when you're just trying to use percentages, you can use a percentage, but once again, let's say this level right here is the only level that really makes sense for you to stop out at, but you have a 10% stop loss. Let's say you're using a baseline 10% stop loss for everything. We know that, well, what's 75% of 20%? Let's see, 0.75 times 20. So this is going to be about a 15% stop loss right here. This red line that we're looking at is about a 15% stop loss in that scenario that we just used. So if you're trying to keep a baseline 10% stop loss, well, you're going to have to be stopping out before we even get to the level that matters. You're going to have to be stopping out right here. The level that matters really isn't until right here. So what are you doing? You're stopping out for no reason. Really, the stock hasn't told you anything. It hasn't had any room to breathe. It's not. That right here is not giving you any answers to any questions that you have. Okay? Or any indecisiveness in that trade. It's not going to be figured out right here. It's going to be figured out right here. So why would we want to base our stop loss on something that literally does not matter to anybody or anything but you? Well, yeah, once again, like Levon said, your position size is not your risk. Your risk is what you're actually risking on that trade. So, Marco, I hope that answers your question, but I stop out on the price of the stock, not a percentage. I tried the whole percentage thing for a long time. The whole percentage thing does not work. And I wondered why it consistently did not work. And that would be why, is because it really does not mean anything to anybody but me. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you've got to give your stocks room to breathe. They've got to have the, yeah, like I said, proper room to breathe. And you also have to have a stop loss that you can actually follow. Because if you're trying to use a percentage, how many times have you personally tried to keep a percentage stop loss on a stock and then you don't follow it? Well, the reason you don't follow it is because the stock isn't really at any spot that is showing you, hey, we're not doing this move that you're looking for. Or, hey, you're probably not going to end up seeing this trade here. So you wait for the levels that you are probably going to know. Is it going to play out or not? Well, I can tell you the worst habit you can build is not following your stop losses. And you'll never be disappointed when you follow a stop loss when you're doing it this way. You'll never be disappointed because you know if I hit my stop, if I ever hit my stop, it means that the trade is most likely not going to play out. So there's no hesitance there. There's nothing to hesitate on. There's nothing to avoid. There's nothing to be sad about, because 90% of the time, you know that when you're stopping out, that stock probably is not going to give you the move you were looking for, unless it's just some random momentum candle that goes and wicks you out and comes back. I mean, that's always going to happen, but it's not going to happen consistently. Usually when you hit a stop loss, or when we hit a stop loss, our trade never comes back. Now, I'm saying that. The rest of the people in here that are in the chat can either agree or disagree with me. I might be wrong, but I'm saying that the majority of the time when we stop out, it doesn't come back. And if it does come back, it's typically not without a massive amount of drawdown beforehand. So either way, we would have got cooked. But yeah. Whenever Keith hits stop loss, I trade the other direction. All right. Well, if that doesn't tell you anything, then I don't know what will. Sometimes come back, but you're waiting a minute. Right, Levon. Like it will come back sometimes, but not without a pretty major amount of drawdown. And like even this BA trade today that we stopped out on, look how far we came down before we ended up getting this move. We stopped out around this 288.90 area. I mean, depending on where you got filled, you might have got stopped out at around 80 cents. But we pulled back basically a whole dollar before we even started to come back up. We would have been down 30 to 40%, I believe, by the time we got to the point where we ended up turning around. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love that so much, dude. You have no idea how much happiness that brings me. Exactly like Saki said there. By the time it comes back, you'll have to avoid decay. Anyways. Okay, so you have to size differently with different trades. Yes, Marco. That's literally exactly what I'm saying. You have it right on the dot there. You're sizing according to your risk. Okay, now your sizing is probably going to be relatively the same all the time. Like it's going to be within the same range, but you're still sizing according to your risk. Like most of these stocks, they're not going to move majorly different on any given day than they will on the next. So you're still going to be maintaining roughly the same risk, but you can just have a little bit more confidence in your sizing there when you're sizing according to your risk. You should explain the heavy, medium, light sizing thing you explained to me. Yeah, Levon. So honestly, it kind of applies here as well. I think this is actually an easier way to approach it, Levon. I just didn't know the best way to explain it back then. However, hold on, Marco. I will get to you in just a second. What Levon is saying here is I said something about having different ranges of position sizing. I think that is something that is good for everybody. However, with the example I just gave, it's actually easier to just do it that way, but I'll go ahead and explain this as well. So what he's saying with the heavy, medium, and light sizing thing is I used to trade in different sizing ranges. If I say I'm going light sizing, that meant I was trading anywhere between like 7 to, well, probably like 5 to 8K position sizes. Medium, I'm sorry, I take that back. Low sizing is anywhere between like 3,500 to 5K position sizing. Medium is anywhere between like 5 to 8. Large is anywhere between 8 to 12, let's say. Now those have shifted up a bit because I have scaled up slightly. But anyways, still, same thing applies. If you start out the day and you are trading in your light sizing range, you need to stick in whatever range you're starting that day with. Because what you don't want to do is go into the day and let's say you're trading with your light sizing range where I said Position sizes are anywhere between 3,500 to 5K or whatever it was that I said. I believe 3,500 to 5K. Now, if you take that first trade, you hit your targets, you had a beautiful trade, and then the very next trade that you go take is in the high end of your heavy position sizing range, you're going to end up wiping out all your profits from that first trade that was actually a beautiful trade. So what I'm saying there is when you start out the day in a specific range, it's a good idea to stick to that range for the rest of the day, because it's really going to mess up your risk, even if it's one of those things where you're calculating your risk and saying, I'm comfortable losing this much and I'm comfortable losing this much. What you don't want to be doing is giving back the entire portion of your profits from a fantastic trade on just a normal stop loss. Like, that's just something you don't want to do in general. So I try and stick to the same range that I start out the day with. I pretty much always trade in the heavy sizing range at this point. I mean, I don't really have ranges anymore. I know that on any given trade, I'm risking anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000, just depending on what the setup is. And obviously I'm going to size according to that. Like, let's say I do hit a stop loss as my first trade of the day, and I'm down, let's say $1,700, right? And I know that I don't want to be down 4K by any means. I don't want to be down 3,700, but I am willing to risk another 1,000. Okay. Then I'll go to the lighter end of that heavy sizing range and say that, you know, this is where I need to be in order to risk 1,000. I think you guys probably understand the concept of what I'm saying, at least. Correct? Yeah, you can downgrade, but I would not recommend upgrading. So like if you're starting out the day heavy, and you hit a beautiful trade, you can size down if you want, but I really don't recommend going the other way, because you're going to wipe yourself out. Just literally in one stop loss can wipe out a fantastic trade. So if you're not sizing consistently. Okay, 1,000 size with $1 stop loss will be higher percentage than a 50% stop loss. Well, yeah, Marco, if you're gonna be down $1 on the stock versus being down, 50 cents on the stock, then yes, your stop loss is gonna be heavier. It's gonna be higher. How to add the contract is good. I would imagine you're asking how to add to a trade. So see, if I'm adding to a trade, there's two different ways to talk about this. There's scaling and there's adding. Scaling in, this is where you are planning this ahead of time. All right, you're planning that, let's say I'm going to take half a position here. I'm going to take the other half of my position at my key level. All right, that is called scaling. Now, technically, when I am scaling in, I will probably say like I'm adding here. But you guys already know ahead of time that I am scaling in and I'm not just taking full position and adding to the top of that. Now, the other type of adding is when it's not necessarily planned. And the times where I will do that, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, you know, every now and then we'll get to take advantage of something like this. But the time where I will add to a trade, let's say we are getting into this trade right here. Entry level, once again, is this blue line. So once we come up to this blue line, I'm taking my entry. Let's say it's right there. Boom. All right, it took my entry. Stop loss right here. Or, well, really, I meant to draw that at the bottom of this, but whatever. Stop loss is right here. Okay. Let's say we get our entry. We pull back. All right, but we never end up hitting the stop loss. We end up consolidating in this range right here. We don't end up hitting stop loss, but we didn't have the momentum we needed in order to get the breakout in the first place here. That's the only reason we rejected. All right, now, let's say we are picking up that momentum back to the upside here, and I took my full position here. Well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to add to this trade and take the most advantage of this setup as possible. I'm sorry if you guys can hear that right now. For some reason, my neighbors decide that they want to hang up new pictures every single day. Either that or they just like beating hammers off the wall. One of the two. And my dog does not like it. But anyways, this right here is a perfect opportunity for me to add to my position and just take the most advantage possible of this breakout. And the way that you do this, you can do it however you want to. You can add another quarter position. You can add another half position. You can even double down on your position if you want to, but just keep in mind that when you're adding to these positions, you're going to have to tighten up that stop. So at this point, I'm okay with tightening up that stop because we already had time. We already had the time to play around in this area and figure out if we were going to make this move or not. Okay, that was what this was for. Now that we've done this, if we end up coming back down, let's say we break out barely and we end up coming back down again. Okay, if we end up coming back down again in here, the likelihood of us seeing this move anytime soon is actually pretty low. So I'm okay with tightening up my stop loss at this point. The only reason I didn't have it tighter in the first place is because of the fact that we are going to need a little bit of breathing room here in case we don't break out on the initial test. Does that make sense to everybody? The only reason we have this breathing room here is for the stock to figure out what it wants to do. Now, once it's already had its time to figure out what it wants to do, that's when it's time for the move to happen. All right, I don't want to see any more hesitation after that. That's when it's time. It needs to do it now or it's not going to do it. So that is why I'm saying I'm okay with even doubling down on my position here and essentially doubling my reward for the same risk and moving my stop loss up here so we can counteract that, you know? But yeah, that is a scenario where I will add to a trade. So see, I hope that helped. All right, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any more questions here before we wrap this up tonight? I appreciate you guys sticking around. I like the stream being interactive like this. It's fun. All right, everybody. I'm sorry, I have to do it one more time. This is the last time I'm doing it tonight. But if you want to trade with me and the team, click the first link in the description. It's such a crazy deal that if you don't try it out, you're insane. I don't hate you, but you're crazy. But anyways, I'll see you guys first thing in the morning for pre-market review. Everybody, once again, if you're not in the floor, click the first link in the description. Check it out. We'll see you in there. 9 a.m. Eastern pre-market review. Hope you all have a great rest of your night. I will catch you later.